So we have some potential good news when it comes to the filibuster. Take a look at this. President Biden says there is a real possibility that Democrats invoke the nuclear option and change the filibuster rules to raise the debt limit. So let me break this down for you a little bit. The debt limit, for those of you who don't know, it's totally arbitrary. And what it does is it's about paying back money that we've already spent. So with the previous budget, we spent a certain amount of money. That's guaranteed to be spent. The debt limit as it sits right now is not enough to accommodate for the previous budget. So you have to raise the debt limit in order simply to protect the full faith and credit of the United States government, not default on our debt, and not plunge the world economy into a recession at the very least, but possibly even a depression. So you don't have a choice. Now, the debt limit is totally arbitrary, and we shouldn't even have one, because anybody who's familiar with modern monetary theory or current economic understanding, even basic Keynesian economics, you know that the way a government works, it's not the same thing as the way a household works. You can't make the comparison between Bob down the street and the most powerful government on planet Earth, a government that has its own sovereign currency. So the whole idea of like balancing the budget and the debt and the deficit, and we have to make sure that we look out for that. Guys, there's a reason why, when they spend on the military, for example, none of it's paid for. They just spend $800 billion. And they're like, okay, we can do that because we prioritize it and it is what it is and we're the U.S. government. Of course we can do it. So when it comes to that, when it comes to tax cuts for the rich, nobody says anything about paying for it. It's only when it's for regular people that they talk about paying for it. So you are absolutely able to and allowed to, and it's even a good thing to deficit spend when you're in a recession, because the government should be the spender of the last resort to keep the economy going and functioning. So the debt limit is totally arbitrary. All we're talking about here is paying back money we already spent or not defaulting on that debt. So this is a standoff that happens all the time in Washington. It's stupid. It's a waste. It's a game of chicken. And the conversations happening now are, you obviously can't do nothing. That's no option. You can't leave the debt limit as it is, because then you do destroy the full faith credit of the United States government. You just can't do it. So you can't do that. So the only other options are raise the debt limit, so do it through Congress, or mint $1 trillion coin, which is what people are talking about, which is just a way to circumvent the debt limit and do it in a way where Congress isn't even involved. So some people find the idea of $1 trillion coin goofy. Some people don't. But what happened is Democrats were like, okay, step aside. We'll raise the debt limit on our own. And Mitch McConnell goes, no, we're filibustering that. So McConnell tells Democrats, do it on your own. Democrats go, okay. And he goes, LOL, just kidding. I'm blocking you from doing it on your own. So you can't do it with 51 votes. Can't do it with 51 votes. You need 60. So they're not going to give you the votes that are necessary. So what Biden is thinking about is saying, on the issue of the debt limit, we're going to make an exception in the filibuster, which we could do with 51 votes. And the exception is, for raising the debt limit, you only need 51 votes. So here's the takeaway from this story. First of all, should they do it? Absolutely. No doubt about it. Most obvious thing in the world. Make it so you only need 51 votes to raise the debt limit, and raise the debt limit and be done with it. Avert this self-made catastrophe. But here's the thing. What Biden is showing here is they have the ability to do this on literally any part of the Biden agenda if they want to. All you need is 51 votes to make an exception to the filibuster rule. So with 51 votes, you could say, you know what? We're reforming the filibuster back to the original filibuster where you have to talk the entire time to block it. Well, if you do that, they're not going to filibuster nearly as much, because you can't really just talk forever now, can you? So you could either reform it back to the original filibuster, you can reform it in other ways, you could create loopholes for more issues in the filibuster, including the debt limit, including other aspects of his agenda. So what he's showing here is, actually, I have the power to do pretty much anything by either eliminating the filibuster, reforming the filibuster, or creating more loopholes in the filibuster. There's already like over 200 loopholes in the filibuster where certain things don't need 60 votes. Supreme Court nominations don't need 60 votes. That was changed recently. Other court nominations don't need 60 votes. That was changed recently. There's a whole list of stuff that we went through previously on this show that you don't need 60 votes for. Certain, like revoking of certain federal regulations that just went into place, you only need 51 votes. So add the debt limit, raising the debt limit, add that as a loophole, and add the rest of your fucking agenda, or just abolish the filibuster, or reform the filibuster. So the fact that they're not doing it is a self-inflicted wound is the point. So it's weird to talk about, we'll get rid of the filibuster, but only for this thing. If you really believed in the rest of your agenda, you should do something on the rest of your agenda. And don't tell me it's crazy to have 51 votes beat 49 votes. That's called democracy. That's the way it should work. That's definitely the way it should work. What I want to, just reform it instead of abolishing it, because then you have the opportunity to block when you're in the minority. Yeah, I do kind of want to have the out if the Republicans are trying to start another war. I think it would be cool to be able to block it from the minority and truly filibuster it. So yeah, maybe you want to have an out and just reform it instead of abolishing it. But I certainly would take abolishing it over doing nothing. So he's letting you know there are things he could do. But unfortunately, he's only considering it for this one thing.